Everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, place of Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Oh no, NL didn't know that the last video didn't capture his game audio. Fooled you. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not really that funny because, like, the last video really didn't. But again, the only way you can know is after it's over. So I've started to get in the habit of, like, checking after it's over. And I saw it didn't have game audio, so I restart OBS and you're good to go. 8WGE M39A. I'll tell you, the stats on this one, oh man, it's bad. I mean, we're looking at below average stats in pretty much every department. Speed is okay, but it puts us in a position where we can't really absorb a speed downgrade without suffering some consequences that honestly might be worth it. Rate of fire is way worse than average. Damage is I mean, I don't want to pile it on it. It's one of those things where, like, you know, you run the risk, you want it to sound balanced, like you're not being unbiased, right? So you don't want to be like, hey, both of these things are terrible, because people who think they're enlightened but actually take fairness as shorthand for validity will be like, well, how can both things be terrible? It makes it sound like you're being exaggeratory. That's not the case. Like, literally, I mean, two things can both be really, really bad. We do have one big positive. No paralysis, please. Oh, that's huge. We do have one big positive. It's our HP. Gives us... Wait, is this an XL? No, not an XL. Just a large floor. HP gives us a little bit of a window. Unfortunately, it's not really that advantageous necessarily because of the fact that it's going to be really tough for us to finesse a deal with the devil out of this one on the next floor. Unless we find, I mean, at least one spirit heart, but preferably like 2 or 3 to be honest. Okay, well, that's very helpful. Let's finish the room first just so we don't get twisted up. Now, I would take anything here. I would take small rock. I would take, you know, a spirit heart. I would take a golden chest and then hope for the best when I opened it. We're kind of not in a position where we want to be too conservative, I think. We want to try to shoot for the moon here. And it's like, you know, I think what I've been... Let me rephrase. I want to come at this with a different philosophy. We are in trouble. And we're in trouble immediately. I'm going to use a bomb here for sure. Don't pop up. Oh, that's a huge difference, unfortunately. Just because we're not in trouble, like we're not at risk of death right now, the data point that we have right now is way below where you'd want it to be. So there's plenty of time to come back. But I think, you know, it's like, an Isaac run is like watching, you know, a human being develop to some point. You can look at this right now and you're like, yeah, I mean, the fact that they're, you know, maybe not necessarily having, they're not hitting those average marks. Doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to be going out for job interviews tomorrow. But, you know, if possible, we'd like to do whatever, take whatever action we conceivably can to get back on a path that, you know, leads us to be in a position where we got those skills when we need them. It's a bit of a, you know, it's a real metaphor, but still. We still have to go to our item room, too. You don't need me to tell you, I'm sure the range upgrade is just not what we wanted. We will absolutely also go to the curse room, especially if we get some HP, but we do have the spirit heart to work with. Really, like, a red chest item that isn't Curse of the Tower, or preferably Cursed Eye would be nice. A teleportation to a deal with the devil would be extremely cool. Let's go peep this first, just in case. I mean, even just killing this guy is going to be a pain. Oh! Now... I mean, you know what's happening here. I'm crunching the numbers, and I'm like, okay, if I take this, we should still be fine. Obviously, I want to take this right here. Can I just leave? I can't leave. I have to kill you. Okay. I can get hit once. Let's open. Oh, thank you. So I think we just got insanely lucky right there. Rotten Baby is a nice damage multiplier. It's going to help us out a good bit. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. Thank God the curse room existed, dude. So I think we will actually stand a very good chance to get a deal with the devil on our next floor. And, you know, all things are kind of falling into place here. Okay. I mean, no complaints, dude. Everything's coming up. Millhouse. Got an exciting, well, not really an exciting week planned. It's my fatal flaw as a YouTuber is I'm immune to hype. And that means I'm immune to my own hype as well. I never look at my upcoming stuff and go like, yo, what up? It's your boy Northernlion. You're not gonna believe what we got coming up for you this week. We got some Isaac. Yas. We got a full week of NLSS with the camera on and without me sounding like I'm encased in mucus. Yas. We got probably the finale of Gungeon. I was thinking, I don't have a perfect replacement for Gungeon. However, I think that Streets of Rogue could make a nice mini-series that could bridge the gap until we get what we want, you know? That's the thing, I truly believe in the expression that perfect is the enemy of good. I'm gonna tackle this from both different perspectives. Don't get it twisted here. I am a person that's all about ticking things off the to-do list. And you can see this even in like my YouTube channel, my Twitch stream, etc., etc. I don't have the most polished, I don't have the most professional setup. I don't have a big 30-second swooping intro that comes down. Northernlion, you know? I don't have a soundboard that goes yeet. What I do have is a consistent schedule of producing the kind of content people enjoy. And you can have both. And this is something I'm going to talk about. I've been struggling with, or have struggled with in the past, and I'm working on getting better with right now. But, and the reason for that is because whenever people are like, you know, they used to make fun of the fact that like the panels below my stream were like, hey, it says NL only has 40,000 Twitter followers. Now he has 100,000. When's he going to upgrade his panels? I think the real answer is like, you know, why do you care? When you go to McDonald's and it says like over 1 billion served, do you go like, well, now they've served 10 billion people. I really hope they replace the sign. It's like, no, you're just there because you're hungry and your parents took you there when you were a kid. So now you got like a built-in, like, you know, brand awareness about McDonald's. You feel very positive about it. I kind of want to be that, I want to be that McDonald's. We'll pick it up temporarily at least. I think we should check our curse room now. Our last one was good to us, and we have a guppy item. But then, you know, I redid my panels, and I haven't been bugged about it. People ask, NL, when are you going to change your channel trailer? That's one, you know, we should do it, but it's a little lower on the list. Next up, we got some Twitch rebranding that hopefully can be pivoted out in the merch. People, they ask you, NL, when are you going to make merch? Here's the thing. There was a period in, like, 2014 where every Twitch streamer in our group was making merch. That was 5 years ago. We were younger. I have all these shirts, you know, from our Teespring campaigns back then. I will not wear them outside. I know this sounds like overly, I don't know, generous almost. Pardon me. Oh, get that out there? It's like, but I really do almost see it as like I'm protecting you from yourselves, and I'm getting roasted for it. But you know, I have a shirt with me in the pocket. It's a little cartoon version of me in the pocket. I love that shirt. I wear it all the time. I do not wear it out of the house though, because if another adult came up to me and said, "Hey, is that you popping out of your own pocket?" the conversation that I would have to have with them would be, I mean, I would get over it, but it would be embarrassing. Without a doubt. Either way, though, I was like, you know, I don't want to release... Ooh, I'm excited is active. I don't want to release merch that I wouldn't necessarily wear. So part of the, you know, on the critical path of getting new merchandise out. Was the idea that at least on the Twitch side, kind of like modernize the brand, take it away a little bit from cartoon animal or cartoon bald guy slightly, and then you know, maybe we can work with that, have a little bit more of a mature style, if that makes sense. On YouTube, I like that style of branding. There's familiarity there. Drac makes amazing thumbnails. But for merch itself, I can't, and you know, I'm only 30. But I can't be the 40-year-old guy who's like, buy my cartoon face on a shirt. It just feels weird. By the way, thank you to everybody who's like, please release merch. We'll buy it no matter what. But, you know, it's taking its time. I've always been the guy who's just like, you know, I got a little logo on my computer. Just pop it up there. It'll take 2 seconds. You know, oh, why is... Oh, we have door... I thought we had the louse. My mistake. You know, now I'm working on polish a little bit. And honestly, part of the reason I'm working on polish is the influence of my wife. We have 2 different personalities in this department. And I think we complement each other in that regard. So I'm learning a little bit about, like, taking care in doing things. And maybe I'm passing on a little bit of, like, some things warrant a high degree of care, and some things are just better to get done. That's my 2 cents, at least. Like, I'll give you an example, you know? I am very thankful that when I went to college, I was able to be in a house with other people my own age. You know, I didn't live at home. Taught me some very necessary life skills that, you know, from being an only child and living at home, were in derelict. Or in dereliction. Anyway, they didn't teach me anything about grammar. Quite the opposite. Taught me a lot about slang. It's a weird one, right? No, it's not a weird one. It's a fantastic one. Okay, so hold on. This is a very important moment for us. What do you nothing? Excuse me? I'm willing to give you half a spirit heart just to see what you got. Another I can see forever. Okay. Can obviously do that. I'm content with this, I think. But, you know, taught me vacuuming, doing the dishes, mopping the floor. Chores, more or less, you know? Taking out the garbage, sorting the recycling. That being said, the level of care I took in it was always kind of just something that I was like, the dishes need to be done. I would do the dishes, but I would do them to a certain level of incompetency, you know? And then a week later, I'd pull a spoon out of the drawer, and I'd be like, why is this spoon a little bit oily? And you're like, well, you didn't, you know, the water wasn't hot enough, or maybe you had used a little bit too little soap or something like that. And I realized the dishes are something where doing them perfectly probably actually matters a little bit. You know, you don't want to do the dishes and then have one dish that you did that's still not clean to your standards, because then it makes you think like, oh, all the dishes are dirty. It's like you didn't even do the chore. You know what I mean? I don't know where I'm going with this, philosophically speaking. You know, like, did you ever grow up and you'd, like, clean your room? Well, let me rephrase. I think I have that's a route we can go down, but I think I have a better one. Although now, just literally in that moment while I was pivoting, I lost it. Hold on here. When I was, basically until I was in my 20s, I had the same philosophy that I think a lot of young people have, especially young men, where it was like, hey man, the system is for the birds, dude. Everything that people do is wrong. I know that sounds, I'm being overly generalizing here, but, you know, I was the kind of guy who, I was always looking for, the min-maxy, I know it sounds ironic here, but the min-maxy best way. So, you know, every adult is going, yeah, well, when you get older, you gotta do, you know, you're gonna have to do the dishes more frequently. I'm like, nah, dude, it's simple. How about instead of doing the dishes, I just eat exclusively like the same foods every day, and then I'll just have one plate, one bowl, one spoon, one fork, one knife. I'll rinse it out immediately after eating. And then, don't you feel like a dummy? I just got around doing a chore. Why didn't you think of that, you old son of a gun. We already used I can see forever here, so yeah, we found our second secret room. Was always looking for the, not the quick fix necessarily, but for the easy path. And that's why and it's emblematic again of my story. I tell you the same thing about when I worked in an office. I would take my lunch break at, like, you know, 3 p.m. so that by the time I came back from my lunch break, I only had half an hour of work left. I was doing the same amount of work as everybody else in the office. At least the same time. But, it felt like I was having an easier time at work. I had found the exploit, you know, the min-max aspect. Now that I've gotten older, you know, you might not relate to this, but I find that attitude kind of, like, deeply uncool. And I'm being sincere. Now, instead of being like, man, why won't somebody... I mean, we have a dishwasher, to be fair, but sometimes it's just, you know, you just want to do them by hand, because you're like, we got a couple of plastic things in here that I don't even know if you can put them in the dishwasher, so I'm going to do a dishwasher load and then hand wash some stuff. Why don't I just hand wash everything? But I'm gone from being the kind of guy who's like, you know, I wish somebody would invent, like, dishes that never get dirty, to being the kind of guy who's like, dude, I'm stoked I can do the dishes. I can watch a full episode of Queer Eye in the time it takes for the dishes to be done. You know, the same thing with, you know, shaving's another good example. You know, I gotta shave more than your average man. I don't have to shave my face that much. There's a little universal rule of shaving, which is that everybody thinks that, oh, you don't have it as hard as I do. Ladies, don't take this the wrong way. I know that you're expected to, you know, societally speaking, to shave legs and armpits, okay? Anytime a man talks to a woman about shaving, they're, at least you don't have to shave your legs. Okay, yeah, but, like, your legs, I'm not saying it's an easy thing to shave. But, like, a lot of men out there shave their face every single day. And your face is, like, it's a weird shape, you know? You got, like, squareness around the jaw. You got bulges around the cheeks, you know? The hair starts growing in weird circular directions depending on where you're at. Now, I'm not saying it's harder to shave your face than it is your legs, but I'm just saying everybody thinks they have it harder. And I'm a good example on this one because I think I have it harder because I have to shave my freaking head. You know, it's all bumpy and there's a little ridge on the top of it. And then, again, the hair grows in different directions and it's an extremely different thickness. The back of my head is like Hulk Hogan's. You know, I could get a skullet going in like under a month if I wanted to. Top of my head is like, you know, George Costanza. It doesn't exist. And I used to be like, man, you know what would be cool is if somebody invented like a face mask you could just put your face into and it would shave your whole face in like a second. And of course there's safety concerns, like if something went wrong it would probably be fairly disastrous. However, you know, I mean, it's true in general. You know, you're washing your clothes in the river in you know, the 18th century or something like that. Someone's like, if only there was an automaton that could do this for us. Yeah, but what if my britches got caught in the gears? Okay, it does happen from time to time. You also lose a lot of socks, but where was I going with this? I don't know. Now I'm like, I don't know. I take pride in, you know, doing a chore that needs to be done. I take pride in keeping my house cleaner than I've ever done in my life. Let's take this for hopefully a little bit of a nice little bit of a boost, actually. I take pride in doing my work. Sadly, I don't think we want those. You know, instead of finding a way to circumvent the work that needs to be done for the maintenance of your life and your household, you find a way to instead take pleasure in that work. I think working out is a great example. You know, I started working out this year again, and I was fairly big into, you know, nutrition and exercise when I was, you know, in my junior and senior years of high school, and then on and off throughout college. But this is the first time as what I would call a real adult that I've been into it, and my philosophy has changed in a way that I think has actually made it way more sustainable. Because now I don't think all adults are in this group, but you know, people. And this is a picture of myself when I was younger. Instead of being like, you know, I want to work out so I can get healthy. It was like, hey, what's the fastest, most efficient way to work out? You know, you frame it in such a way that you're like, it's torture. So what if, you know, best full body workout under 30 minutes or something like that? You know, you're trying, instead of embracing the work, you're trying to circumvent it. And I think, like, philosophically, if you frame something as like, I don't want to do this and I want to get it done as quickly as possible, that has an impact on your competence of the task as well, in my opinion. Now I've taken perhaps even a harmful view in the opposite department, but I think it's better, where I'm like, you know, month to month, you know, I don't skip a workout. I did not go to the gym twice last week, but that was because of illness. And, you know, that's not really an excuse. If anything, you know, when I went on Friday, I had to excuse myself. I thought I was feeling 100%, but upon doing the workout, I had to excuse myself to the restroom to go blow my nose a couple times, and I was like, hey, you know what? I probably should have just taken the whole week, but I misjudged. It was a mistake of, not of malice, but of ambition, shall we say. But yeah, I've got more respect for the act of doing the duty now, if it makes sense. I think you should too. If I could give advice to my younger self regarding that kind of stuff, it would be something in that department, to be honest. It would be like, hey, you're so... hold on. You know what? I want the Spirit Heart, to be honest. I don't really care about the Ace of Hearts, obviously. But it's like, you know, I was... So, and this is why I talk to Rob and Austin about this kind of stuff whenever they... Because I think that the reason is not because I disagree with them, but because I was them, at least with respect to some of this stuff. Definitely will take Judas' Shadow. Might as well take Gimpy at this point as well then. And if we find some Spirit Hearts, might be a good time to get Dark Judas rolling here. But when they're like, you know, I eat off of styrofoam plates or, you know, I mean, Austin orders takeout. If he eats out of the takeout container, it is what it is. Should you maybe learn to cook a little bit? Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely... Here's the thing, is I defend Austin's right to eat takeout for literally every meal. I do think it probably, in time, may come with health consequences, but I mean, he's aware of that, so what else are you going to do? You're going to bust into his house, you know, handcuff him until he makes a poached egg? You know, you got to do what you got to do, but... You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it cook chicken and rice, is all I'm trying to say. However, I think that, like, if I had a stable income when I was, like, 18 years old... Austin's not 18, but I also... I mean, by the time I was Austin's age, I was married, and I had also lived, you know, both alone in a foreign country, but also, like, I had lived with Kate for a while, and I'd lived in a house with other college students for a while, so I was a little bit more... I mean, it's insulting to say I was a little bit more self-sufficient. That's not really what I mean. What I mean is I developed the cooking skill mostly because of the fact that, you know, you make whatever money you make over the summer, you got to survive on that for the rest of the year. So I couldn't afford to spend, you know, $10 a day on food. I was probably spending like $3.50 a day on food, just in raw ingredients. But anyway, the point is, where was I going with this? They're kind of... Hold on. This is a big moment for us. I realize it seems like I'm backtracking. It's not the case. It's I'm just trying to make sure the Isaac run is sorted so we can give the attention to the anecdote that it warrants. More Spirit Hearts, please. More Spirit Hearts. Thank you. And then maybe like more Spirit Hearts, please. Okay, that'll do. But yeah, I mean, I was there. I think if I had been making decent money as like an 18-year-old, I would have the exact same argument. I would be like, why would I cook? Sure, I might save $4 or $5 a meal by cooking, but by taking that time off to cook, I would also, you know, not be able to stream where I would make more than the $4 or $5 required to compensate for the increase in meal price. And it's a good logical argument. Unfortunately, The only thing you can counter it with is the illogical argument I'm making right now, that despite being illogical, I really feel is right, which is, you know, you can't be streaming 100% of the time. You know, you have to sleep at some point, you know. And if you're gonna accept that you have to sleep in order to make sacrifices, you know, for your own rest and physical and mental health, then that same logic could apply to cooking. And moreover, you know, sometimes I think there's a value in just doing the work. You know, I don't want to, let me put it this way, okay? I think the best way to describe it is to put it in analog. Can you imagine what kind of reaction, and people out there that are, you know, that have been in the position, maybe they're married in a relationship, they're, you know, they're living with their significant other. Imagine if your significant other had a high-paying job, okay? And your apartment was extremely dirty. And then your significant other said something like, you know, you were like, hey, can you do the dishes? And they were like, well, you know, in 1 hour of labor, I make this much money. So really, that's like, it's like a $300 chore for me to do the dishes. How long do you think you could get away with that? I would say, if you ever said it, it's already too late for you. Like, that's the end, and I used to do this all the time, but I think that's like the end result of thinking of all of your hours per day as if they're worth dollar value. I used to, and I think it's a worthwhile lens to consider life through. I'm basically just rambling at this point and I recognize it, but I'm also stoked because the run's going very well. Finally. But I used to do that, and I think it is an actually effective thing if your budget is on the lower side, you know? Like when I was in university, I was making, you know, $10 Canadian an hour, which is actually not that horrible of a wage considering it was a little bit under 10 years ago. I mean, you weren't making good money, to be clear, but you were making more than minimum wage. And my expenses were relatively low. But then you know, you want to go out for lunch? Sure, but I mean, a sandwich is $7.35. Is this sandwich really worth 45 minutes of my working time? You know, maybe yes, maybe no. But you also run the risk of, you know, imagine you got paid like, let's say, I mean, even like if you say $100 an hour, I think it puts it into perspective. Imagine you had a job where you make $100 an hour. You know, you're a high-paid engineer, lawyer, doctor, consultant, etc., etc. You can start to actually like harm your life with the way you think about this stuff. Because you'd be like, well, it'll take me an hour to do the dishes. That's $100. That's not worth it. I could just fit in another billable hour of work instead. It's actually, I mean, it's not $200. It's $100, but you're also not doing work in that time, so you're not billing. But regardless, I think it's a, you know, try to tell people, embrace that aspect of like adult life. I also do embrace the aspect of doing the chores, you know? It's like your life is like a garden, and this stuff is, you know, perhaps you can circumvent it, but, you know, it's like throwing a bunch of pesticides on your garden instead of taking the time to actually weed it, you know? It's not necessarily bad, but it might come back to haunt you a little bit. Like, I always worry, I mean, I worry about myself, you know, if streaming, YouTubing, etc., collapses. You know, it's a great job, and I love what I do, and I think, you know, I'm suited for it. It would be traumatic for a while, for sure. But I'm also like, you know, sure, I have some educational qualifications outside of streaming that I could fall back upon. But also, you know, we do a lot of stuff ourselves. You know, we cook, you know, we clean our own place. I worry about, like, if you're a streamer who kind of, in a way, it's almost like DJ Khaled said, like, suffer from success. If you became like a really, really popular and like high-earning influencer, though I hate the term, when you were like 18 years old and you're like, I don't need to learn how to learn the stuff that people my age are learning. I don't need to learn how to cook. I don't need to learn how to budget. I don't need to learn how to clean. And then, like, all of a sudden you say something you shouldn't say and you lose a lot of your fandom and you're like, oh my god, I've got to integrate with the real world. And you're like 35 years old and other 35-year-olds are like, what do you mean you don't know how to, like, scramble an egg? It's just heat plus egg. It's just heat plus egg. Anyway. Sorry, I got lost to myself over the course of this episode. All I'm saying is, you know, I've noticed a change within myself. I think I mentioned this in the episode where I was talking about, you know, the fact that Kate and I have been married for 5 years. And it's like, I mean, it's a long time. It's had a really positive influence on me, you know? I have gone from being the type of... I'd just like to leave this room, please. I have gone from maybe being the type of guy who could be like, you know what, I get why you'd eat off of paper plates. So that you don't have to do dishes. To being the kind of guy who's like, you know... probably like a third of the dishes I do are actually just rinsing out recyclable containers so that I can recycle them effectively instead of putting them in the trash. You might, and then, you know, when I was a younger type of guy, now I'm having an argument with myself. Well, you know that recycling is not necessarily going to stop global warming. You know, it's really only responsible, you know, for getting 2% of the litter that would otherwise end up in a landfill. Yeah, but, like, what else am I doing? You're really going to justify, like, well, I'm not literally causing climate change to an appreciable degree, so I'm just going to throw my recyclable stuff in the trash because I'm too lazy to rinse it. Okay, but what are you doing with that time that you spent not putting the recyclable stuff in the recycling and instead you're just throwing it in the trash? You're just going on Reddit hitting F5. It's not worth it, dude. Just rinse it out. Oh, dude, this is huge. Okay, give me the mulligan. Give me this. Give me this. All right. This is a slightly dicey situation. However, I think we will be fine. We should be fine. I was guilty for sure earlier. I was like, we're going to definitely win. That's not necessarily the case. We're not definitely guaranteed to win. We're likely to win for sure. 1 HP would be such a blessing right now. So I always think about, like, you know, when I was in college, I was trying to save so much time. Oh, well, you know, the most efficient way to work out is to, you know, do this full body Tabata workout. Instead of taking half an hour to work out, it only takes 4 minutes. And I think back and I was like, what was I doing with my time that my time was so valuable? The answer is not a whole heck of a lot. I mean, I was going to class, but at the time I thought, like, oh, geez. 25 hours of class a week. This is like a full-time job. Not really! Mind you, 25 hours is a little on the low side as well, admittedly. It's mostly just like, you know, well, if I save an hour and a half a week on my workouts, that gives me more time to play Civilization 4. And that's just kind of... I'm happy that I've sort of grown out of that. But I think I'm also, I'll admit, I always like to turn it back on myself. I'm in a unique position as somebody whose job is recreation. That, you know, when I'm able to step away from the computer, I'm almost like engaging in a mundane form of tourism. You know, when I'm like not playing video games for leisure, which I still do all the time, but when I'm not playing video games for leisure, I'm like, ooh, oh, so naughty. I'm doing the dishes like a regular person. Weird. I don't know. Again, that's why I always say I'm not really, you know, I try to be a good influence, but I'm not really in a position to give actionable life advice necessarily in all situations, because at the end of the day, I do have a very, very strange job. You know, I think, you know, the fact that... Oh, this sucks. This sucks real bad. Hold on. Hold on. Somebody's got to go. Don't kill me, dude. I worked for this one. I worked hard for this run. Please just let me find the boss. If we get to the boss room with invincibility, it's okay. We're good. I'm sorry. I wanted to go further into that bit that makes fun of myself, but, you know, we've got other priorities temporarily. Just a single piece of HP. You're not gonna believe what I'm about to say. You gotta hit it. I would have preferred not to, but I couldn't have guaranteed that we weren't gonna get hit. You're not gonna believe what I'm about to say, but I think we have gotten unlucky. Just with the sheer lack of Spirit Hearts recently. Okay, it would... never mind. I was just gonna say it'd be real nice. No! To kill Gluttony last to get some HP. I deserve to lose there. That hurts a great deal. Anyway, life goes on. We're starting a new week, new streak. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button. Helps us a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. I'll see you next time. I'm gonna take a vacation, do some dishes or something. See ya.